All right, I will call the to order the Bryant School Board meeting. All members are present, and our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you will join me as we pledge the allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, that was interesting.
We were trying not to laugh. I'm sorry.
There's nothing funny about the pledge. Come on.
I didn't even look. All right. Mr. Chisholm, will you read the board vision and mission statements, please?
Ma'am. Bryan School District Vision Statement. Bryan Public Schools.
You're muted.
Start over. Unmute. Bryan School District Vision Statement. Bryant Public Schools will be the state's premier provider of educational services. Our mission statement: Bryant Public Schools create opportunities for academic and personal success to ensure all students are future ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chisholm. Since we are on our Zoom meeting, when you do make a motion, if you will say your name and then do your motion, and then we will take a roll call. Ms. Tipton will do our roll call for us. Our first order of business is our consent agenda. Dr. Walters. Dr. Walters, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I have to mute when Danny talks, or we've got.
Yeah, you do, because of feedback.
Sorry. We have two things on our consent agenda tonight. We have the minutes from our regular April meeting and our May 4th special meeting, which was personnel. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about minutes from those two meetings.
All right. Board, do you have any questions for Dr. Walters? All right. I would entertain a motion then.
This is Ben. Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second, please.
Second, Scott Walsh, second.
I have a motion by Mr. Llewellyn and a second by Dr. Walsh to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor, Heather, will you please do a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Kim Billingsley.
Yes.
Danny Chisholm.
Yes.
Craig Leone.
Yes.
Did he say? Mr. Leone.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Ben Llewellyn.
Yes.
Tyler Nelson.
Yes.
Scott Walsh.
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes. Our consent agenda is passed. We will now move on to our recognitions information. Ms. Cheryl?
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Tonight, we are happy to virtually recognize two of our outstanding employees. The first I'm happy to present is Mr. Tanner Oglesby, our 2019-20 Bryant Teacher of the Year. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I keep freezing, sorry. Mr. Oglesby, would you just give us a wave so we know who you are? Okay. Through his short tenure at Bryan High School, as Bryan High School's head choral director, Mr. O has grown the choir program by over 20%. A record number of his students made all region and all state. His choir program earns consistent superior ratings and assessments.
I believe she froze.
Yeah, I lost her.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is she's at school on our internet.
Right. I was going to say she's on your internet.
Yes. Maybe let's give her just a moment, see if she gets back on in a second. So I will pick up from where she left off, because I had the privilege of presenting Mr. Oglesby with his award last week. He has grown our program by 20%. The awards that our students receive as far as state recognitions, he has set records. not only does he work with our Bryant students, but he also is involved in the community. He is the director of our community, the Saline County Orchestra. I didn't know that until we had a concert at Christmas when we opened the new Fine Arts Center. So he goes above and beyond, and he also is a great model for us as far as our social and emotional learning. It was not surprising when I learned that Mr. Oglesby was our district teacher of the year. So having said all that, Mr. Oglesby, would you like to say a few words?
He's muted.
I just wanted to
there we
say
go.
thank you to the Bryant admin and the school board for all of the opportunities that you consistently give choir. As a choir director, I'm very limited in what I can do unless I have administrative support. So I'm just very, very thankful for that. We have the best teachers, the best students, best admin in the state, in my opinion. So it's an honor to represent Bryant for Arkansas Teacher of the Year. And I hope to do you proud.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Oglesby, and we're looking for great things for you when you do Teacher of the Year. I'm sorry we're not there to take a picture. Later. Maybe somebody else can stand up there.
Somebody will get a screenshot. We'll be okay.
Well, usually you get into this, the courier though. So congratulations. We're really very proud of you. And I've attended your concerts and they are excellent.
Thank you so much.
The students do an excellent job and they're under your leadership.
Thank you.
Okay, what else, Dr. Walters?
I think Ms. Cheryl is back with us now, and she has another couple of recognitions. And thank you, Mr. Oglesby, for attending tonight. I wish we had all gotten to eat some Gina's spinach dip and pita chips before, but maybe we can another time. Devin, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I keep freezing. Okay, I'm sorry, my computer keeps freezing. So tonight we're also here to recognize our district, our classified employee of the year, who is Miss Carly Covert. Is Carly here with us? Would you wave at us, Carly?
Carly, if you'll say something, Carly, it'll show your screen.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm freezing again. My video stream is not good. Mrs. Covert was chosen from our 8 department employees of the year to be our overall classified employee of the year. She's also our paraprofessional of the year. So Ms. Covert went above and beyond this year to create a learning environment that's very unique. It's the first of its kind in our district, and it was a STEM lab at Collegeville Elementary. She secured grants and devoted countless extra hours preparing lessons and projects to help students not only learn about STEM and be successful with STEM, but also to love STEM. In fact, I hear her pullout is one of the favorites at Collegeville. So she sacrificed time and money to really create an experience that touches each and every student at Collegeville. And her lab will actually serve as a model for future STEM labs across the district. She's a master at capturing kids' hearts, and which she does in her classroom and on her bus. So we want to say congratulations to Ms. Covert.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Ms. Covert. Again, we're sorry we can't have a picture with you, but maybe we'll be able to do that later.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carly.
Hey guys, I'm really sorry. I'm kind of at a loss here for the streaming. Are we ready for the last one?
I think so. Thank you, Carly, for joining us.
So Bryant Public School.
Did we lose her?
We lost her again, but that's okay. We can just skip this last one.
Yeah. So you know what? I think there was somebody else that was going to say something anyway. So we'll just go ahead and turn things over to Mr. Llewellyn.
Ms. Porter, I want to thank you for this past year's leadership and guidance for us. And I also want to thank you for the many years of service you served on this board. You served on this board. This is a service job. This is not a job. This is a calling and a service. And I want to thank you for that. The countless hours of training, hours of being in meetings and things you've worked for us. I want to thank you for that. And I also want to thank you as a teacher. for the influence you gave me and all the other students out there, but especially me, because, you know,
Well,
I want to thank you for all that, Ms. Porter.
well, I appreciate that, Ben. And I do appreciate serving on this board, and I'll just keep it quick. Education's been my life, and it's just another way for me to serve and to give back. And I have really enjoyed it, but I am glad to pass the gavel on to you, Mr. Llewellyn. And you were a very good student too.
I don't know about that.
Yes, you were. So, thank you. But I will gladly pass this to you for next year.
So, Ms. Porter, in your honor and in thanks for serving as president this past year, in your name, we have sponsored 2 children for Destination Library.
So, I love that. You know, I'm in Friends of the Library.
Yes. So thank you.
So, library is a big issue with me. Okay, well, thank you. Let's move on. Our next item, now see, I've gotten all out of order here. Okay, let's look at the financial report. Dr. Walters, I believe this will be yours.
Yes, ma'am. So you have the 5 attachments that are part of this document. I won't go through everything on each one of them. I can tell you that our legal balance at the end of April 30 still did not look good, but I do have good news. We received our check from the county on Monday for May, and it was $12.2 million. It's a little bit down of what I think things, had we not been in the middle of COVID, but it really is so much better than I thought that it would be. So this is our normal month when we get our big check. Last year in 19, our current taxes was 12.2 million. And this year the current taxes, and this is not on your document, I'm just telling you it will be on for next month, but we got 11.8. So I think that's really good. Since the courthouse has been closed, a lot of people, you know, want to pay their taxes in person. They want to get their receipt. Some people aren't comfortable paying them online. They don't want to pay that fee. So I think the bulk of this was from those mortgage companies like we had talked about. So like I said, it may be down a little bit, but so much better than I thought. So like I said, our ending April didn't look good, but we should be back on target for the end of May. I do want to also point out that our building fund account is, our regular building fund account, I should say, is in the negative, but all of our building funds go into one account. So our 3007 account is our second lien bond money. So we have money in that account. We still are expecting money from the state for reimbursement, but probably at our June meeting, I will be bringing a transfer to the board. We haven't transferred any of our growth funds from this year, and we haven't received our last payment. So once we have that last payment, we'll probably transfer our growth money into our building funds like we have talked about. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you have.
So you think our legal balance will be about what it was last year, or do you think it's going to be down about $1 million?
No, I think we'll be on target to hit, you know, what we had budgeted for. I would like for it to be a little more, like we've talked about in the past. We're going to have to build our legal balance up, but with what we've received, I think we'll be on target to close with what we had projected.
All right. So I just don't want to get on the department's radar.
Right. Now, I think we're going to be in good shape. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to make it sound like we're going to have, you know, a whole lot of carryover, but no, I think we'll be on target.
Okay. Good. Board, do you have any questions of Dr. Walters on the financial report?
Another.
Did you want to go over anything else on here?
I do want to tell you this because I think I brought it up at last month's meeting. You know, another issue that we've had is that we have been carrying some negatives in federal accounts. So RMAC money is Medicaid in the schools money. We had not received any of those funds until May. So those funds aren't in the financials that you're looking at tonight, because our financials always go through the last day of the previous month. But we pay a lot of salaries out of RMAC money, and we have finally started receiving that reimbursement. So our first 3 quarters of RMAC are $503,000. And so, that's another issue, is we've been having to carry those federal funds that we've not received. But those should start coming in now as well. So
Good.
any other questions?
Do you have any questions? All right, I guess this was an information item. So let's move on to the number 7, the preliminary special education budget application. Ms. Colbert.
Good evening, everybody. This is our 3 major budgets. These are based on our preliminary allotment from the beginning of the 2019 school year. And so there is no carryover included in these. The largest budget is the Title 6B, and our allotment last year was $1,698,000. 1.6 million of that goes to salaries, and I've listed the different areas of those salaries, and what it comes down to is that there are 30 certified salaries that come out of that fund, and 4 classified salaries. The remaining amount, the $95,000 there, we will put into OT and PT purchase services. Next, hopefully, we will have, I'm hoping we'll have carryover this year. And we also had an increase of students with disabilities. I believe our increase was over 70 students for this year. So we should see a increase in the allocation. The next budget is the federal early childhood, and that's a small budget, a little over 60,000. We have one partial salary that comes out of there. It's the assistant sped director's salary, Tara Armstrong. That is part of her salary. And then the $25,000 will be for OT and PT services for early childhood students. And then the remaining $1,100 is to cover materials, travel, things like that. And then the next budget is the state early childhood budget, and that's where the early childhood program gets most of or the special education part of that early childhood gets most of their funding, and it was $270,765, and that goes all to salaries. Again, part of that is for Tara Armstrong's salary. Then we do have 3 certified salaries and 1 classified salary that comes out of that. And again, and we also had an increase in early childhood students with disabilities. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of larger allocation this year.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Ms.
Colbert? I would just like to make a comment if I could. I don't know if y'all remember, but last year, probably July or August, we were talking about special ed funds. In total, there's about 6 special ed funds that had gone in the hole by a substantial amount of money. I want to brag on Ms. Colbert and her special ed staff. A big part of that is we had not totally billed what we could have received in Medicaid reimbursements. They have really stepped up their game. I think we are at more than 50% more that we've received in Medicaid reimbursement this year than last year. So we may, with COVID and some of the extra therapies we've had to add, we may be a little bit over in one of the budgets, but it's going to be very little. So it's going to be a very different picture this year. So I just want to brag on Ms. Colbert and all of her team for their efforts this year to help us.
Thank you, Ms. Colbert. This is an action item.
Thank
If there are no
you.
questions, If there are no questions of either Dr. Walters or Ms. Colbert, this is an action item.
This is Kim, and I'll make a motion to approve the special education assurances and agreements, as well as the preliminary budgets for school age VIB, early childhood VIB, and early childhood state preschool as presented.
Scott Walsh, I'll second that.
I have a motion by Ms. Billingsley and a second by Dr. Walsh to approve the special education assurances and agreements, as well as the preliminary budgets for school age VIB, early childhood VIB, and early child, I think that's 6, isn't it? Title 6, and early childhood state preschool as presented. Ms. Tipton?
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yes.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
and Sandra Porter.
Yes, that motion passes. Our next, unanimously, our next agenda item is number 8, meal prices for the 2021 school year. Mr. Sellers?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Well,
Okay,
apparently you got to talk a little more.
hold on a second.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So tonight I'm coming to you requesting increases to 3 different types of prices for meals. There is a tool that the Child Nutrition Unit, they do this every December. And we came up this year, we've got a mandated increase of a minimum of 10 cents for our student meal prices. And we are suggesting that we go a 15-cent increase on those prices so that we don't have to keep coming back year after year. And you'll also see a request to increase adult breakfast prices by 40 cents and also adult lunches by 25 cents. And by doing this helps offset costs for staffing and, you know, the meals themselves for the produce and the preparation, all the associated costs with running these kitchens. So again, we're required to do a minimum of 10 cents for students, but we really need to make these adjustments that are being suggested to help us operate and not have to come back again next year unless we're required to.
Okay. Are there any questions of Mr. Sellers? All right, this is an action item.
This is Ben. I make a motion to approve the 15-cent increase to all student meal prices, 25-cent increase to adult lunch prices, 40-cent increase to adult breakfast prices for the 2020 and 21 school year.
This is Craig, I'll second.
Greg, all right, I have a first by Mr. Llewellyn and a second by Mr. Leone to approve the 15-cent increase to all student meal prices, 25-cent increase to adult lunch prices, and 40-cent increase to adult breakfast prices for the 2021 school year. Ms. Tipton, roll call.
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson.
Yes.
Did he say yes?
He said yes. I
Okay,
think
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
yes. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, let's go to the next item, which is number 9, classified sick leave policy. Mr. Lassiter.
All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. This is a simple change that we're asking to be made to classified sick leave bank policy 8.5. You can see the explanation for the change. It's to bring our policy in compliance with the law. Right now, our policy makes an employee eligible for sick leave if they've worked 25 hours or more per week. The law actually says 20 hours. So we'd be making this change to be consistent with the law. The classified PPC approved this to recommend to you on their meeting on May 13th. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Did the law change or did we just miss that over the years?
The law had changed in recent years, but
We
we
did that.
just missed it.
Okay. All right, any questions of Mr. Lassiter? All right, then this is an action item.
This is Scott Walsh. I'll make a motion to accept the revision to the Bryant School Board Policy 8.5, classified employee sick leave, as presented by the administration in the classified PPC.
This is Ben, second.
I have a first by Dr. Walsh and a second by Mr. Llewellyn to accept the revision of Bryant School Board Policy 8.5, classified employee sick leave, as presented by the administration and the Classified Personnel Policies Committee. Ms. Tipton, roll call.
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yes.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. The next item is our preliminary budget. Ms. Kimbrell. She was here.
Yes, I'm here.
You are. I was going to say, we have to say goodbye to you, so you need to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'll be here in June. So,
Oh, okay, you'll be here in June. I didn't know if you'd be here in June or not, but I guess so.
oh, yes, ma'am.
One more meeting, so we'll tell you goodbye then.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I need to present to you the preliminary budgets for the federal dollars for Title I, 2A, 3, and 4. I believe you have a copy of it in your packet. So in Title I, our total revenues with our projected allocation and our carryover will be $1,061,153. A greater portion of that goes to salaries at $958,035. $103,118 will be expended toward or budgeted toward materials and supplies, professional development, travel, and those other things. Title 2A, our allocation and carryover give us $204,073 to budget. Again, most going to salaries and benefits at $159,462, leaving us with $44,611 that will be budgeted toward materials and supplies, travel, professional development. In Title III, our total amount to be budgeted will be close to $66,095. A very small portion of that at $17,253 will be used for salaries, and $48,572 toward materials and supplies. For those of you that don't know, Title I and 2A have been around forever. Title III has been around a long time, but it has kind of taken on a different face. So it is our federal dollars for our ESL students. So we are very limited on what we can spend towards salaries and benefits. The last one is Title IV. Altogether, we should have approximately $83,633 to budget, and all of that will be spent on materials and supplies. We've used this the past couple of years to fund a lot of our Capturing Kids' Hearts expenditures and professional development. So we will not be having any salaries projected to be budgeted out of Title IV monies for 2021.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kimbrell.
Yes, ma'am.
Does the board have any questions, Ms. Kimbrell? Okay, then this is an action item.
This is Scott Walsh. I'll make a motion to approve the Bryant School District preliminary federal fund budgets for the 2020-2021 school year.
This is Craig. I'll second.
I have a motion by Dr. Walsh and a second by Mr. Leone to approve the Bryant School District preliminary federal fund budgets for the 2020-2021 school year. Ms. Tipton?
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yes.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Our next item is the E-rate application approval. Mr. Cunningham?
Yes, I hope everybody has a drink and is sitting down since I'll be talking for a while.
Okay.
First thing, the E-rate application. This is our yearly time to get this approved. The E-rate program covers our fiber connection between campuses. Basically, is a way to discount that bill from $205,000 down to $82,000 for the year. So it's a substantial savings for the district, and we heavily rely on that savings to get us through the school year.
Is that all you're going to say?
That's all I've got on this one. I've got lots more though.
Oh, you've got lots more. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Cunningham on our E-rate resolution? All right. If not, this is an action item.
This has been make a motion to approve the resolution for schools and libraries universal services E-rate for 2020-2021, authorizing the filing for Form 471 application for the funding year 2020-21 and the payment of the applicant's share upon approval for funding and receipt of services. Oh, sorry.
This is Kim, and I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Llewellyn and a second by Ms. Billingsley to approve the resolution for schools and libraries universal services E-rate for the 2020-2021, authorizing the filing of Form 471 application for funding year 2020-21 and the payment of
Approval for funding and receipt of services.
upon approval of funding and receipt of services.
Kim, and I'll second.
I'm doubled up.
I have a motion by Mr. Llewellyn and a second by Ms. Billingsley to approve the resolution for schools and libraries universal services E-rate for the 2020-2021, authorizing the filing of Form 471 application for funding year 2020-21 and the payment of upon approval of funding and receipt of services.
Kim Billingsley,
Yeah.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yeah.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yeah.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes, that motion passes 7-0. Okay. And we have signed that resolution. Heather, you got that signed? Okay. All right. Mr. Cunningham, are you still up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
My next item, we are needing to upgrade our time clock system for the district. We've actually been needing to do this for a while. It's just been an up and down situation trying to find the right software and make sure we get the best pricing and all that good stuff. So we've been working with our current provider, Time Clock Plus, to update our software. The current software runs on an old version of Windows Server that is no longer supported. So we have no choice but to upgrade. The new version is web-based, so we won't even have to maintain a server anymore. This upgrade is a 3-year payment, a 3-year lump sum for a contract. So this kind of locks us in for 3 years without having to worry about budgeting any, setting aside any money for this. With a lot of the new features in this upgrade, it's going to accelerate the district's plan moving forward to a more paperless system. So we're pretty excited about it.
Will there be any like training you have to offer for people to start using this, or is it pretty much similar to what they've used to?
It will be similar. However, there are training hours built into this proposal as well.
Okay.
It may end up being a situation where we have Time Clock Plus train us and we, go out and train users, but
Okay.
it's going to be a similar system. It's going to use the same hardware clocks that we currently use. The bigger difference is the app is there's a lot more functionality built into the app. There's a lot more control on our end on where the app can be used. And it will also be able to do online leave requests with this software for everybody in the district.
So everyone does clock in on the time clock. Administrators, do they?
No, right now it's just for the most part it would be custodial technology.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
So it is non-exempt classified staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with this, like I was saying, everybody will be able to take advantage of the leave portion of it. So even our teachers and certified staff will be able to use that.
Yeah, if I can piggyback on what JC said, when he said we're excited about the online leave, he can't really emphasize that enough. So we have 1,100 employees, and anytime anyone has a leave sheet, a sick day, a personal day, or whatever, we're putting that on paper. People make copies of it. It gets sent to inter-district mail all around the district. It gets lost. It gets updated. Their appointment got changed or whatever, and then we don't get the updated version. As you can tell, it's not very efficient for a district our size. So we're very excited to be able to have a system where this can be done online. And another piece we're excited about is our staff being able to clock in from their phones in a way that we know that they're on campus. In the old system that we had, I could clock in on my phone, but I could also be sitting at my house and clock in on my phone. So we had to disable that feature, not that ever happened or anything. But the new system, we can actually geofence our campuses so they can clock in on their phones, but they have to be inside that geofence. And with COVID-19, this has become more important to us now than ever, because we are not like all of our maintenance folks in the past. Mr. Padgett has had them all come to the maintenance building. Everybody gets their marching orders and goes from there. And now we've had to rethink that because we can't have that many people at one place. And so he can talk to the supervisor of this group of 4. The next day they know where they're going to be. They can show up there. They can log in on their phones, and we don't have a bunch of people trying to congregate around the time clock and touching the time clock. So there are lots of features of this new system that are going to be very beneficial to us.
Sounds like it was very timely changing over to that system.
Yes.
Now on the leave, that's all going to be online. So the asking and then the approval and everything will be?
Yes,
Mhm.
ma'am. Yes. So we'll have to go in and we'll have to set up the structure for it. So it knows when this person puts in leave, we have to set up the structure so it sends it to the approver. So there's a little bit of work on the front end, but once we have that done, it's fairly simple.
Okay.
And I also just wanted it's a lot of money. We actually could pay it out over 3 years, but you save a substantial amount of money if you pay it all at one time. And we received some E-rate money that we did not have budgeted. And it was, JC, if I misspeak, tell me, but I want to say it was $77,000 was the E-rate money. So it's almost the exact amount. So we thought it was best to save the money and just go ahead and pay for it now.
Okay. All right, this is an action item if there are no further questions.
This is Scott Walsh. I'll make a motion for approval of the proposal from Time Clock Plus in the amount of $78,169.12 to upgrade the district's time clock system.
This is Ben, second.
I have a motion by Dr. Walsh and a second by Mr. Llewellyn to approve the proposal from Time Clock Plus in the amount of $78,169.12 to upgrade the district's time clock system. Ms. Tipton?
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Greg Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yes.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes, that motion passes 7-0. All right, Mr. Cunningham, student device purchase.
Yes, ma'am. This year, we decided to do a little bit smaller of a Chromebook order than we have normally done as a part of our student rollover. And a lot of that is just with all the Chromebooks that went home with students, we really wanted to make sure that we were going to be prepared for next school year. If we had a substantial amount of damage to any of those, or non-returning them in time, or whatever, we just wanted to kind of make sure we were covered. And we're really in pretty good shape with our current Chromebook fleet. So we're evaluating different options. And so we didn't really want to make our normal large purchase this year, just while we're in the process of evaluating what we're going to do moving forward. So this is just really to replace a few of our older models, which we don't have a ton of those left, and then just to cover us for any breakage that we have from all the Chromebooks that went home.
How did that go? Have most of them come back in?
I took a couple of pictures today. It's pretty substantial what has returned, and our breakage rate has not been as high as I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things that we're seeing are just cosmetic.
Right.
For the most part, we've probably had maybe 20 screens damaged, and I would say we've had 12 to 1,300 Chromebooks returned.
Wow.
So, and screens are the bigger component. So, I'd say we're doing pretty well. We should be able, fingers crossed, we should be able to replace more of our older Chromebooks than having to replace broken Chromebooks. So
how many more do you have to be turned in?
I believe Ms. Dissinger or Dr. Dissinger, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was around 2,700 went out total.
Yes.
So we've got quite a few left.
Yeah, you got about half of them back.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's the last day, so we'll see.
Tomorrow is the
how
last.
it goes.
I thought that was last week. So, okay. All right. You've got one more day.
We do
Yep.
have some people too that are having to keep theirs because they're having to do makeup AP test, and that is not until the week of June 1st through 5th. So we have some situations like that we know we're not going to have them back tomorrow. But I know she's on here. I see her, but I want to thank Dr. Dissinger, and I know she said Mr. Hay helped and Mr. Cunningham. They came up with a system that's a very well-oiled machine for bringing those back. They started yesterday. It went today. It'll go tomorrow. She had a monstrous spreadsheet of how we've been trying to keep up with this information. It's been a lot of work, and I appreciate her work on that.
Okay. Yeah. I would imagine that has been a lot of work. All right. Do you have any other questions, board? Of Mr. Cunningham? If not, this is an action item.
This is Craig. I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from White River Services in the amount of $380,037.96 for 1,500 Chromebooks for student use.
This is Kim. I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Leone and a second by Ms. Billingsley to approve the proposal from the White River Services in the amount of $380,037.96 for 1,500 Chromebooks for student use. Ms. Tipton?
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn.
Yes.
Did he say yes?
Mhm.
Yes.
You did.
Okay. Tyler Nelson,
Yeah.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes, that motion passes 7-0. Our next item is revised Microsoft Teacher device. Mr.
And unfortunately, I really didn't want to have to bring this back to you guys. This was, I believe, you approved this purchase at the March board meeting. Due to some quoting errors on White River Services part, the quote that they had from Microsoft expired before the lease paperwork actually ever made it to me. So what we tried to do is find another provider to supply us with that same model of laptop, and nobody could get close because Microsoft is setting the prices for that. So then we shopped around for different models of laptops, and it's all boiled down to the quote. Even the revised quote is the best deal that we can find for what the district needs right now. So we had White River Services go back and revise the quote with the best pricing they could get. It's not as low as I would have liked, but they cut as much of their margin out of it as they possibly could. So I do appreciate them for that. But as of right now, we would have to modify our current lease agreement that I just filled out paperwork for, and get that new paperwork submitted, and hopefully get these devices out the door so we can get them in our teachers' hands this summer.
So it's
So
about,
in fact, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just saying, looking at the numbers, it's about a $3,700 difference. Is that what I'm seeing?
So with, I'm going to pull up the two leases. That would be a per year $3,700 difference.
Okay, so total it's 15,000 or something.
Right around that, yeah.
Per year. So the total is 388, 583, 78.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the total.
Mhm.
All right, any other questions? All right, this is an action item.
This is Ben. I make a motion to approve the revised 4-year lease proposal for White River Services in the amount of $103,749.50 per year for the staff devices.
Mr. Scott, second.
I have a motion by Mr. Llewellyn and a second by Dr. Walsh to approve the revised 4-year lease proposal from White River Services in the amount of $103,749.50 per year for staff devices. All of those, Ms. Tipton?
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yes.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
and Sandra Porter.
Yes. That motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Walters.
Yes, ma'am. Next on the agenda, we have a resolution I would like the board to consider. I believe it was probably the 3rd or 4th week of March, the School Boards Association came out with a model resolution and recommended that districts look at adopting the resolution just because of the unique situation that we have people that are getting paid full salaries and they may not be working full schedules. I think it was to help if there were any audit issues next year, things like that. I do know that there were some districts that did this immediately when it went out. I made the decision to wait. It was such a fluid situation and I didn't know what else could get thrown into this. And so we wanted to wait till closer to the end of the year. I'm sure you read through it. It's basically just a legal document to say that under the national pandemic, that we understand that we have employees that were not able to work full schedules for safety reasons, and you are authorizing the district to pay them their salary if they work the approved schedule given to them by their supervisor. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, and Mr. Laster is on and he can answer them if they're over my head.
Board, do you have any questions of Dr. Walters on this? Well, I hope we don't have to do this again. But we may
Make two of us.
Yeah, but at least you have an idea of what to do now. All right, this is an action item then.
It's Scott Walsh. I'll make a motion to approve the attached resolution regarding issues related to the closure due to COVID-19 virus.
Ms. Ben, second.
I have a motion by Dr. Walsh and a second by Mr. Llewellyn to approve the attached resolution regarding issues related to closure due to COVID-19 virus. Ms. Tipton?
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yes.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. All right, Dr. Walters, I believe you're next on the deed to the city.
Yes, ma'am. This item regards a piece of land that the board actually took action on in 2017. If you remember, when the city was looking at building their new fire stations, we sold them land down at Bryant Junior High where the Hill Farm Station is now. At that time, the city did not have the money to purchase the 5 acres that Chief JP wanted to purchase, but they were only able to get 4, and it was put into the agreement that later we would sell them the other acre. We've had some conversations since that time, and in July, I believe it was, the board approved we deeded some land to the city that was around Ashley Park. They had received some grants to do some improvements there, and it was not a large piece of land, but the board voted that night to give them that land. When that happened, I'd had some conversations with Mayor Scott and talked to him about the possibility of the district not having to participate in the $100,000 for a roundabout at Hilldale, Hilltop, and Parkway like had been agreed to previously under the previous administration. He agreed to that, and so I would like the board to consider deeding the city this other acre. They could have held our feet to the fire on that and made us participate in those improvements. I think this is being a good partner with them. I know that the fire station could use it. I know y'all have looked at, you've seen the training facility that they put up in the back of their facility now, and where that 1 acre is located, I don't see us ever using that as part of the junior high in any way. So I recommend to you that we deed that 1 acre to the city for the fire department to use. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Did they say what they were wanting to use it for, or is it just to be able to?
He had, Chief said, now this was back in 2017. They have that, I don't know how to say it, kind of makeshift training that, it's like the railroad cars is what I call it. I don't know if that's what it is, but they have some hopes of adding some other pieces like that. I know at their Spring Hill location, they don't have room. And so this is kind of the one area where they have room to grow. And I think they would just like to add some different training pieces.
Do they have any idea when they're going to do that roundabout?
I do not know that. do not know.
I know you've got a good, excuse me, a good relationship with the city, and it seems to be going along nicely, and that's great. But did we get this in writing, or do you think we need to get it in writing? This waiver, if you will, that we don't have to pay the $100,000, or is this kind of a handshake thing?
I have it in writing, Dr. Walsh.
Okay, good.
I, in the summary that you see, I put in there about not making us pay the $100,000. Before I added that to our agenda, I shared that with Mayor Scott and asked him to review that and make sure that he was okay with that language. He sent it to the city attorney, and they both said that they were fine with that. So
okay, very good.
All right, do we have any other questions? If not, this is an action item.
This is Ben. I make a motion to approve the deeding of 1 acre of land to the city of Bryant at the Bryant Junior High property as shown as track 2 on the attached map.
Tyler, I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Llewellyn and a second by Dr. Nelson to approve the deeding of 1 acre of land to the city of Bryant at the Bryant Junior High property as shown as track 2 on the attached map. Ms. Tipton?
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Mr. Chisholm has recused himself from this. Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yes.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes. Mr. Lassiter, if could you answer my question? Is he still there? Or you may too, Dr. Walters. If Mr. Chisholm recused himself and he's still in the room, is that a no?
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
It just been reflected as an abstention.
as an abstention. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. The motion passes with 6 yes votes and 1 abstention. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lassiter. I want to make sure we got that right. All right. We are now ready for our information reports. Mr. Sellers?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start with an update on the concession stand project. If you've been by there lately, specifically the last 2 days, you'll see the block walls are going up. Also, slabs for the concession stand and the ticket window areas are complete. The underground electrical and plumbing is ongoing. Site concrete is ongoing on the east side. The red iron for the metal building has been installed. The relocation of the decorative fence is ongoing. The water line for the football field has been completed. That was done so prior to the turf project being completed. As I said, the block work has started. Foundations for the bleacher expansion part of the project, that's going to start on May 24th. That'll take about 10 to 14 days. The roof and the metal panels, they're scheduled to arrive here on May the 27th. And then the bleachers themselves will arrive on site on June the 12th, and those will be installed by June the 29th. So that's where we stand on the concession project at this time.
So we're on track to have it completed before school starts then?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I saw the video on Facebook of the new turf and it sure looks nice.
It's
I don't know if anybody else saw it or not, but.
And so along those lines, on the field turf, we did the final walkthrough yesterday, myself and Coach Bach and Coach Lee. We walked with representatives from Lewis Elliott Architects, and they were very pleased with the work, just as we are. Coach James, he's very excited about our new field. The only thing they have to come back and do is there are some, I don't know how to describe this because I never played soccer in high school, but there's some Velcro strips that apparently stick to the turf during a soccer game, they move around for their kicks, so they've got to come back and provide those for us. Outside of that, we're good to go on the turf project. The Bethel HVAC project, all of the condensers are set. All but 4 of the furnaces in that project have been set, and 20 of the 36 split units are already up and running out on the Bethel project. The Bryant Middle School HVAC project, all but 2 of those condensers are set, and they are also piped. All of the furnaces are set, and all but 10 of the furnaces are piped. The vacuum has been pulled on half of those units. The outdoor units are being removed at this time. And then over in building 36, the old blue gym, 80% of the ductwork over there is complete, and all of the condensers are set. So we're moving along nicely on those two large HVAC projects. Out at Spring Hill, you may recall we're putting new shingles on the Spring Hill roof. 45% of those shingles were in place as of yesterday afternoon. 2 of the dormers have been removed and framed in. They're moving along quickly with that project. The shingles are scheduled to be delivered out at Davis Elementary next week, so they can get started on that. Now, building 8, you may recall we're doing a metal roof. That material is still a couple of weeks out. Ed said he would let me know when we had a more solid date, but he feels like we're at least 2 weeks out on getting the metal in for the building 8 roof, and that'll be a different crew that does that installation, but it's coming pretty quickly.
Okay.
You guys have any questions?
Sounds like there's been a lot of work going on.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Dr. Walters still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know lost you.
No, I have to mute because Mr. Sellers is in the room, so I have to mute while he's talking. So.
Yeah, we had an echo anyway. But we're ready for you, I think, now. Did anybody have any questions for Mr. Sellers? Okay, I think we're ready for you, Dr. Walters.
Okay, first thing that I want to talk about is our strategic plan and survey. We were scheduled to do our big survey that we always do when we came back from spring break. And as you can imagine, that did not happen. So we did not feel like it was a good time with all that was going on to send out a survey. We felt like it would skew our data. A lot of the questions that we ask, let's just say they didn't pertain at the time. So what we would like to do with the board's permission is we want to extend our strategic plan out 1 year and basically just do a freeze. The other piece that's a very big component of our strategic plan is our test data. And since we did not participate in any state testing this year, we also will not have any state data to be a part of that. And when I say extended a year, we may decide later we don't want to do that, especially based on the circumstances and looking at blended learning and an online learning component. You know, that may need to be a big part of our strategic plan. So I guess what I'm saying to you is, instead of just trying to fill in the little bit of data that we would have with data from the 1920 school year, we want to at least pause for now and not proceed on and have that information, because there will be a lot of holes, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, there would be. Yeah. I really don't see how you could do anything else but put it on pause, because you wouldn't have good data. So it wouldn't be the real picture of 1920. So I agree with what you're saying. Board members, do you have any questions with that? So we're just extend the strategic plan for another year, or just wait and see what we need to do.
Yes. So the next item I want to talk to you about is CARES Act. So there was a webinar held Monday morning by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. They gave some information, gave us some of the forms and applications for submitting for that money. At this time, we are getting $711,000 in ESSER funds. Those funds can be used for 4 different pots of money. I'll say it can be used for food service. It can be used for any related services. Due to COVID, it can be used to help with your infrastructure, like if we needed to buy more Chromebooks or buying hotspots. And the 4th thing is systemic, I forget how they worded it, but it was like building your systems. If we needed an online learning platform or things like that. So it's basically anything to do to help you basically in this situation, if it were to happen again, of, you know, your actual expenses or expenses moving forward so that you're better prepared for in the future. So I will be submitting our application in the next couple of days. You check what areas that you want to spend your money on. I'm going to submit all 4 areas. You can make amendments if it turns out that we don't have enough money to be able to spend it in all 4 areas. We don't have to. I'm still waiting on a big piece of the puzzle to know exactly how we need to spend our CARES Act money. The governor has not released how he is going to approve expenditures for his gear money, and that's about, I believe it's $30.6 million. It has to be spent on education, but it can also be spent on higher ed. It doesn't have to just to be K-12. We've been advocating that at least a portion of that money be directed to schools to help with their food service deficits. Our deficit just for the closure of COVID-19, we are going to be in the hole somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000. So I hope that the governor does consider, like I said, a portion of that money for that. Otherwise, a big chunk of our CARES Act money, our $711,000 is going to have to go towards that. So we at least know that we have that to fall back on, but hopefully, like I said, we will be able to access some of that CARES Act money for some of our food service, and we will be able to use some of the CARES Act money for other things, which I'll go in ahead and talk about PPE expenditures for now, because that kind of goes into that. I submitted numbers today to our co-op for PPE expenditures that they are putting out right now as guidance for the fall of things we will have to purchase. Our co-op, Dawson Co-op, is the organizer of TIPS TAPS, which is a purchasing service for the state. I know y'all have heard us talk a lot about a TIPS TAPS vendor. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to reach out to vendors, buy in bulk, and get the best prices for us that we can get. But I wanted to just share some of the numbers that I had to submit today that we would be looking at. So we're looking at over 30,000 disposable masks, 40 N95 masks, 145 protective eyewear, almost 22,000 washable masks, 1,000 boxes of gloves, and almost 14,000 gowns. So those were the numbers. We didn't have to order today. They just wanted numbers so that they could use to try to negotiate prices. So I submitted those numbers. I have no idea what the prices are. I have a lot of questions about the guidance for the PPE. What they're saying now is that for all employees, there should be 3 washable masks. All students that are ages 10 and above need 3 washable masks. I don't see how we can let them take them home because they won't come back. But at the same time, I think the guidance will be that they have to wear it on the bus. So I want us to keep students safe, but I worry that those 3 masks are going to go home and we'll never see them again. And so the washable mask is going to turn into a lot more than just 3. So there's just still a lot more questions than there are answers. The guidance may change. We have almost 2 months before school starts. It may not look the same, but those are some of the issues that we're dealing with. You can see why I'm very hopeful that we are able to get some of the governor's GEARS Act money for food service, because we're going to have a lot of expenditures for PPE. As far as our fall planning, we continue to, plan that we will be here. We are also planning for an online learning component. We think that there are some parents that are going to be interested in their students not being at school. So we are working on that. I sent out a message to all parents today. Did not go into any detail because, to be honest, we don't have the detail yet. We want to wait till we have more to tell them. But we are looking at, for parents that are interested, having an online component. If that's feel like the best choice for their family. We're also I'll say we're not doing as much planning for the partial capacity that we had talked about last month. We want to plan our online piece first, and our piece for what this will look like if we're back at school with all the additional, cleaning, sanitizing, and things like that. We want to get those worked out first. The partial capacity is going to be a lot of work, a whole lot of work, and we want to wait till we're a little bit farther along before we start doing too much more detailed work with that, because that's something we could spend hundreds of hours of planning. If it doesn't come to fruition, we really want to have these other pieces worked out first. So we have a lot going on. Central office team today, we met and blocked off hours in the month of June so that all of our calendars get booked up fast. We wanted to make sure we have that time that we could block off to make sure that we're getting those plans made. I know that Dr. Dissinger and Ms. Kinney have groups that they're working with. They're going to bring in teachers, counselors, other groups. So it's not just central office that are making these plans. So I know I've just told you a whole lot. I want to take a pause there and see if y'all have any questions about the things I've just talked about.
Are you planning on doing the 5 days of professional development in June like you usually do with the teachers?
There's some PD in June, Ms. Porter, not all of it. There's some in July.
Okay.
I know that there's some RISE training going on in June, and the DESA, Department of Elementary Secondary Education, has put out guidelines for having on-site PD, and we'll follow those guidelines.
So you are planning on having the PD this summer?
Yes, ma'am. Now, there are some, we are not planning on having our large back to school that we normally do, just because we don't think that will be allowed. But smaller groups, yes, ma'am. I know that, Ms. Kinney's got PD that is scheduled for the new Fine Arts Center. She's going to use the auditorium as a way that we can socially distance. She has so many elementary teachers that need RISE training. For us to do 50 at a time, we would have to do so many sessions, it's not realistic for us. And so we will be able to have more than 50, but in an auditorium that seats 1,200, we can space out enough that we can do that and do it safely. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Okay, graduation. We still have our same 3 choices that we had talked about last time. I will tell you, we have not been given any guidance yet for July. Districts that were having some type of graduation before school was out had to submit plans to DESE. I'm sure they'll come out with something soon for those of us that have graduations planned for later. I will tell you that I'm not hopeful that we're going to be able to have our graduation at Barton. I think I am hopeful that they will let us have several graduation ceremonies in our arena with the plan that we have. Of course, that's subject to change. It's a long time until July 11th, but I just won't, I don't want to, I wish that we could, but I just want families to maybe start thinking about that. That's probably not realistic with the information they're giving us about all the guidance and still the social distancing. That's just not really going to be feasible for us to be able to have everyone in Barton. So I think that's probably more realistic, I'll say. So facilities partnership funding. We were approved for funding for a new elementary school. We have a while before we have to make any decisions about if that's something we are going to move forward with. I think we're going to need to look at our enrollment this fall. life is different right now. We have until October of 2021 to have a construction manager on contract, and we have until 2024 to have the building complete. So we have some time to look at some things. From what I looked at yesterday, our 3-quarter average for this school year is 9,290. Last year, this current year, we were funded on 9,110 students. So we've grown 180 students consistently, and we actually had more students third 9 weeks than we had at the beginning of the year, which is a good sign. It usually is the reverse of that. So I do think that we're growing, but with what life has thrown at us right now, I think we've got to wait and see what our numbers are before we have any serious discussions about that. I think we need to have that data. I hope that we may be able to get some funding for the Bryant Middle School HVAC project. I have not received a response from the facilities division. I received a response from Mr. King today, and he said that they were working on a response. I know that they're slammed with COVID, and they're going to get back to us. I just don't have any specific information for you tonight. And then our June work session, I talked to Ms. Porter, and we are planning on meeting in person. We'll meet at either multipurpose or at Bryant Junior High and socially distanced, but I think we're ready to meet in person, and we've got some work session items to do. We need to go over handbooks. We need to have a first look at budget. And I know that those things are just easier to do when we're in person than on Zoom. So, unless things change, the guidance changes. I know there was a spike today at the governor's press conference. I'm sure you all heard, but as of right now, we are planning on meeting in person on June 1st. So anyone have any questions about anything we have going on?
On what we got on your quick summary, there were different things on there, like the Career Center update and high school. Is that, what is that?
That is last year's June board meeting.
When I saw high school demolition, I thought, what
No.
demolishing?
No, I went in there to put in I keep a sheet of paper, and as I think of things, I write them down. I always wait till the day of the board meeting before I actually, put my list in. I went to put the list in today, and I said, Heather, what is this? I said, we've already done these things. So that's
I looked at those and I thought, well, what is this? And then, of course, when you didn't talk about them, I thought, I don't know what we're going to demolish on the high school.
No, we're not. We're not doing any kind of construction after this summer for a while.
Well, and I had to get off the phone quickly today, and that was one of the things I was going to ask you on the phone this morning, and I just thought of it when we came to this. So, okay. All right, very good. So June 1st in multipurpose room then.
Yes, I have one more thing, and then I think Mr. Chisholm has something he needs to add. I do want to tell the board this, and I know I've bragged on our food service. I want to brag on all of our folks. I sent out an email today to all of our parents. Every department, every person in this district, I've been so pleased at how they have, pivoted and changed how we do things and did it with a great attitude. I can't say enough about them, but our food service department, in the time of closure, we have fed 50,562 breakfast and 57,198 lunches during this time.
Wow.
And I rode the bus with some of our ladies a week or so ago and helped them deliver. And I can tell you, I've never seen more pleasant, more positive people. And I just appreciate them. I know that was hard for them to do. And they were up here working at the beginning when we weren't sure, what was what. And I know that there were times a lot of them didn't really want to come to work, but they did so that they could take care of kids. And so I just want to give a shout out to them.
That's pretty amazing, really, when you stop to think about that. All right, what else do we have, Dr. Walters? Oh, Mr. Chisholm?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, fellow board members, Dr. Walters, within the next week, 10 days, I'm going to submit my letter of resignation from the board. It's been coming, had a great time. So I'll do the work group and I'll do one more board meeting And then I'm going to hang it up June 1st.
July 1st.
July 1st.
July 1st. Well, Mr. Chisholm, we're going to miss you.
Well, thanks. Thanks. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw
I'm
that
just
out there.
sorry
So-
we're not there in person to tell you that we're going to miss you. I mean, this is, we may never be able to hug or touch anybody again. So here's an air hug. Okay, but you will be with us in June then. Okay. All right. Okay, what else? Then we have, did we have any statements by guest?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, then I guess our last item will be our personnel.
And Ms. Porter, before we talk about personnel, I want to point out to you guys, Heather delivered your paper packets on Monday, and we've added several items. So to see a most updated personnel list, you'll probably need to look on eBoard. So we have got 11 certified resignations, 9 classified resignations, 1 classified termination, 9 certified new hires, 21 certified contract adjustments, and 5 classified contract adjustments on the personnel page tonight. It's a lot. I won't go through everything. I do want to say something about one of the classified contract adjustments. He is not on our Zoom, but he's in the room right now watching us on YouTube. And that is Alex Berry. One of the contract adjustments is adding production facilitator to his contract for next year. I don't know if y'all remember, but last year about this time, I was singing the praises of Brenda Qualls. She had been our esports coach and sponsor for the year, but because that was not on our salary schedule, she did not receive a stipend for that, but did all the work and sat after school 3 or 4 days a week to do that. Well, Alex did the same thing this year with opening our new arena. So all during basketball season, Alex was there every night. He ran the new video board. He did all the training. He trained the students that are in that class. And on top of it all, we hosted the state basketball tournament this year. And he put in several long hour days doing that. And there was no stipend for that. So I just want to make sure that we recognize him tonight, because that was a lot of work that he did. And it's not just he's doing the work, he's also teaching our kids and helping them, because they're also involved in that as well. So any questions about the personnel page I can answer for anyone?
Board, do we have any questions? Okay. All right, then this is an action item.
This has been, I make a motion to approve the personnel items in the area of certified resignation, classified termination, classified new hires, certified contract adjustments, and classified contract adjustments.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Was that Dr. Nelson?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a motion by Mr. Llewellyn and a second by Dr. Nelson to approve the personnel items in the areas of certified resignations, classified terminations, certified new hires, certified contract adjustments, and classified contract adjustments. Ms. Tipton, roll call, please.
Kim Billingsley,
Yes.
Danny Chisholm,
Yes.
Craig Leone,
Yes.
Ben Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tyler Nelson,
Yes.
Scott Walsh,
Yes.
Sandra Porter.
Yes, that motion passes 7-0. And I would entertain another motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, Ms. Billings is, we have a motion to adjourn, and we are adjourned at 7:23.
Thank y'all.
Thank you all very much.